Hello, my friends. Today we're going to talk about the Myers-Briggs and the PMP exam. You do know that the PMP exam is based on the PMP exam content outline on this screen. And if you look for the word personality, you'll find that task 14 under people has promote team performance through the application of EI, assess behavior through the use of personality indicators, analyze personality indicators, and adjust to the emotional needs of key project stakeholders. Now, you do know that the most popular personality indicator is Myers-Briggs. So Myers-Briggs is much talked about on this exam. Assess behavior and analyze these personality indicators. Now, in the world of Agile, it's not just about yourself. Understanding the emotional needs of others is important, but it starts with self-awareness and understanding of your own body language, what you are letting out, your own reactions, taking your perspective out of the picture and listening. So the way we do this in the world of Agile is, to be quite honest, not dependent on personality indicators. We have so many team initiatives within those frameworks of an Agile nature. But in the world of predictive, we have the resource management plan, stakeholder register, stakeholder engagement plan, and now for the exam, the Myers-Briggs. Personality tests such as Myers-Briggs are very useful for the project manager to use and understand themselves and their strengths or weaknesses. Strategies can then be developed with personality indicators in mind. Fun team bonding exercises to have the project team to complete on their own and share findings could be based on this assessment. Now, while a lot of people criticize it, it is on the exam. There's not much we can do about it. So here's a summary. There are 4 categories in the Myers-Briggs assessment. 1, you are outwardly or inwardly focused. 2, you take in information either being sensing or intuitive. 3, you make decisions either by being thinking or feeling. And 4, you prefer to live your outer life in a way that is categorized as judging or one that is categorized as perceiving. Now let's take another look in more detail at what these mean, the summary. An introvert is reserved, drained of energy by interaction. An extrovert is outgoing and energized by interaction, outer world activity. We say someone is intuitive if they're abstract thinkers, they have attention to meaning and patterns. Sensing is a category used to describe someone who pays attention to the physical world and those who notice facts. Thinking is used to categorize those who make decisions logically and apply decision-making and logical thinking in making a final decision. Feeling, F, weighing personal opinion and other points of view when making decisions. J, judging, someone who is orderly, organized, someone who likes taking lists, making lists, task-oriented and believes in work before play. Or perceiving is someone who is flexible and spontaneous. They like a mix of work and play and keep plans to a minimum. So right now, we're going to do a very quick Myers-Briggs assessment. I'm going to use 2 of my friends who are here, and I'm going to be asking questions and gleaning information, and then you are going to see what exactly this test reveals. Okay, so for the sake of my friends in the room, there are 4 categories. I'm going to ask you questions on 4 categories, okay? So I'm going to ask you questions about, are you outwardly or inwardly focused? I'm going to ask you how you prefer to take in information. I'm going to ask you if you prefer to make decisions in a particular way and how you prefer to live your outer life, okay? So I'm going to collect the data in this form right here. And let's go to the form. Let's ask the first question and let's zoom in to what we have on the screen. So my first question to you, and I'm going to go with my friend number 1. So my question to you is, are you outwardly or inwardly focused? Let me show you what outwardly focused means. Outwardly focused means extroversion. So can I describe you as talkative, outgoing, likes to be in a fast-paced environment, tends to work out ideas with others and thinks aloud, and enjoys being the center of attention? Or can I describe you as being reserved, private, prefers a slower pace with time for contemplation, tends to think things through inside your head, and would rather observe than be the center of attention. Which one more accurately describes you? What would you say?
Probably more inward, but more outward too, once I know the material.
Okay, so we're going to go with the first disposition, and we're just going to say I. Is that okay? So I for inward. Good. All right. So friend number 2, you've heard the question, and what do you say? Okay. All right. So my first friend here has said introversion, and my second friend has said extroversion. Okay. Let's go to the second question. So how do you prefer to take in information? So do you focus on the reality of how things are and pay attention to concrete facts and details? Do you prefer ideas that have practical applications? Do you like to describe things in a specific literal way? Or the second option is, do you imagine the possibilities of how things could be? Do you notice the big picture, see how everything connects? Do you enjoy ideas and concepts for their own sake? Do you like to describe things in a figurative, poetic way? Which of those two categories? So the first one is S for sensing. That's someone who focuses on concrete facts and details. Or are you more intuitive, thinking about things, saying the big picture, how everything connects, and liking poetic stuff? Which one?
Probably the first one.
So sensing. All right, let's go ahead and put the S there. And my other friend. All right. So let's go ahead and put the N. Okay. Thank you. All right, let's move to our next question. So this is number 3. How do you prefer to make decisions? Do you make decisions in an impersonal way using logical reasoning, kind of like just reasoning without, like that? Do you value justice and fairness? Do you enjoy finding the flaws in an argument? And maybe can you be described as reasonable and level-headed? If that sounds familiar, that's thinking. So hold on to that. The second part of this is, instead of that, do you base your decisions on personal values and how your actions affect others? Do you value harmony and forgiveness? Do you like to please others and point out the best in people? Can you be described as warm and empathetic? So which one? Do you make your reasons in a logical way, kind of impersonal, robotic way? Just it is what it is? Or do you base your decisions on personal values and how your actions affect others? Which one? So I'm going to ask my friend number 1. Which one? So are you T for thinking and logical, just straight? Or are you, do you base your actions on personal values and how your actions affect others?
The second one.
Second one, the F. All right, let's go ahead and put that in there. All right, and my other friend? So I'm gathering, okay. So both of you are saying F, good. All right. Let's go to the 4th question. How do you prefer to live your outer life? And for those of you who are watching after the fact, perhaps you could do the test yourself. Just go through the questions, all right? And then just see how, your results pan out. So the final question is, how do you prefer to live your outer life? Do you prefer to have matters settled? Do you think rules and deadlines should be respected? Do you prefer to have detailed step-by-step instructions? Do you make plans and wanting to know what you're getting into. That's first person. That would be, first category is judging. And then the second category is, instead of that, do you prefer to leave your options open? Do you see rules and deadlines as flexible? Do you like to improvise and make things up as you go? Are you spontaneous? Do you enjoy surprises and new situations? Which one would you say you are? Friend number one. Jay, thank you. And friend number two. So both of you, okay. So we have both of you kind of drawing on a couple. Interesting. All right. So first friend here, the ISFJ, warm, considerate, gentle, responsible, pragmatic, thorough, devoted caretakers who enjoy being helpful to others. That's ISFJ. And then we have ENFJ. Let's see what that is. Caring, enthusiastic, idealistic, organized, diplomatic, responsible, skilled communicators who value connection with people. So the overall result, my friends, from what we have just conducted is here. And those are the results. Person number one, ISFJ, person number two, ENFJ. And to get more information about that, so you make sure you both hold your letters, ISFJ, ENFJ. The conclusion about both of these individuals, we can go back to a few slides. It's encapsulated in these summaries that you can find on Wikipedia. Okay, so there you have it. And all 16 characteristics are there. Now, for your exam, you need to understand what these are, what E means, what I means, what S means, N, T, F, J, P. And you need to understand the categories. So in my mind, the more you go through these, the better it will be on your test. You'll be able to remember or recall what it means. So the more trickier ones are the sensing, the judging, and the thinking, right? You got to remember how these are different from intuition, feeling, and perceiving. Extroversion and introversion is pretty straightforward. We've heard from a few students that they got upwards of 2 or 3 questions on the exam. So my advice to you would be to really master it, all right? The overall thing is the PM needs to be in tune with the emotional needs of his stakeholders. To be quite honest, Myers-Briggs results may not be available, so the best format is to get to know stakeholders, develop a sense of their personality and character, do background and research work. You know, the PMI talk about a communication styles assessment. It's helpful in you understanding your stakeholders. Here's a question. The ability to identify, assess, and manage the personal emotions of oneself and other people, as well as the collective emotions of groups of people. What is this best known as? Hit the pause button if you need more time. All right. The answer is emotional intelligence. One final question for today. Improving inbound and outbound competencies. This is an example of what? All right, 3, 2, and 1. So if you open up the PMBOK Guide 6th edition, you take a look at page 310, you'll find the answer. This is pretty much EI. It says emotional intelligence. The project manager should invest in personal EI by improving inbound and outbound competencies. All right, so the answer is investing in emotional intelligence. Now we're done talking about the exam. I will give you a few practical ideas about my Myers-Briggs perceptions and some alternatives to that. Now, for the longest time, I'd looked at Myers-Briggs as being the holy grail, and I pretty much didn't know anything other than personality typing and things like that until I met this guy, Dr. Rick Brinkman. Dr. Rick came on my radar because I had a client who wanted to study his material and knew about his material. So I contacted him and we've become friends ever since. We are going to be having a 3-hour workshop with Dr. Rick Brinkman on dealing with people you can't stand. Now, as I said in the beginning, I thought Myers-Briggs was the way until I began studying with Dr. Rick and reading his material and teaching his material. And what I can tell you is that people are fluid and dynamic. It's not wise to make generalizations about 93 billion. How many people are in the world? I don't know. However many they are. However many. Maybe I've overestimated the amount of people in the world. But you cannot use 93 questions to categorize how many, 8 billion, how many people are in the world? That I've forgotten. I should know that. But you cannot use a few questions to categorize 8 billion people and say, okay, every one of those 8 billion will fall into these categories. See, so I would advise you to always treat people with the benefit of doubt, you know, because people will shock you. They will surprise you. They will amaze you. One person could be a tiger, a tyrant in the office, and they get home and they're as quiet as a mouse and they curl up under, you know, under the rug. The slightest, you know, argument sends them running for the hills, but at work, they're a tyrant. So people change. And that's one thing I've come to realize in studying with Dr. Rick Brinkman. If you want to know more about this topic, dealing with people you can't stand, going down to our website, going down to projectmanagementdoctor.com/dealingwp. I'm going to put a link below. August 6th of 2022, we're going to have a 3-hour workshop, and you're going to learn everything about dealing with different kinds of people, difficult people, okay? So while Myers-Briggs presents a model that many people have adopted, I just want to make it clear that I'm not 100% on board with the whole Myers-Briggs thing. I think it's fun to go through, just like I did with my friends here. But at the same time, truth be told, this has received a lot of criticism in industry, right? It resembles some of the theories we might have heard, but notably, this Myers-Briggs thing has received a lot of criticism about its poor validity, its poor reliability, and it measures categories that are not independent. Like if you caught it in the middle of the first friend I interviewed, the first friend said, well, but it could also be an E, if you caught that in the beginning. So people could fluctuate between any of these categories. And I mean, fluctuate pretty wildly. You see, about 2 million people take this test annually at the behest of usually HR, colleges, government, and the company that produces and markets the test. They make around $20 million each year. And all of this information, you can find this available on Vox, the website that did a critique about Myers-Briggs. So the problem about the test is largely meaningless, was a critique. Adam Grant, an organizational psychologist at the University of Pennsylvania, who's written about the shortcomings of Myers-Briggs, shared his critique and his views. And to be quite honest, categorizing, like I said, 8 billion, 7.7 billion, however many in the world, on just these 16 buckets is rather myopic. Even Carl Jung, who a lot of this stuff was based on, he made it very clear that these are just rough tendencies he's observed. Don't make them strict classifications. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this rather controversial topic, and I hope it's helped you to better sensitize it for your exam. If you are studying for the exam, or even if you're certified and you're looking for assistance and growth in your project management, going down to Praizion.com, where we've got a lot of content and material to help you. And don't forget, also check out projectmanagementdoctor.com/dealing WP. That stands for with people. All right. And you can be part of this seminar that we're having online via Zoom, and it will be a pleasure to see you. For those of you who are also in the world of project management proper and you're looking for training in other topics, we also have project scheduler training coming up for Microsoft Project. So if that is of interest to you, go on down to microsoftprojecttraining.com and sign up for our next Microsoft Project training course. All right. microsoftprojecttraining.com. I hope you've enjoyed this. I wish you all the very best. Bye for now.